which is what hopefully we're going to get to do, particularly starting tomorrow night. We're going to let you call in, okay? We're still working on it, getting all the things ready. We'll do 2 or 3 calls tomorrow night and see how it works. If you don't come through, we'll work on it. We'll just keep going. If it doesn't work the first time, we'll make it work the second time. We're on at a strange time. At least originally, you could always watch us later, 8 to 9. You can watch us for days and days after on Rumble, YouTube, what else? Getter, Facebook. Can you get us on Twitter?
Twitch now. We've been on Twitch.
Twitch. That doesn't mean you have to get a Twitch, just Twitch. So if you don't get us now, make sure you go in and get us. Rudy Giuliani CS.com. So tonight we're going to do something a little strange because he's on the air right now, revealing another part of this. But having been through the battles of all the Biden crimes, and in a way, he gets the benefit of having committed so many crimes. First of all, it's hard to believe that a senator, president, whatever the hell he was, committed that many crimes. Impossible to believe. It was for me. It took a little while for me to get there. Like that, I've finally gotten there because I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents. I've seen what they wrote. I've seen their contracts. I mean, I give you a couple of examples. It doesn't take you much more than to see the $3.4 million money laundering way back at the beginning as a relationship with Ukraine, where it says 800 for Biden, who was the vice president at the time. That's $800,000. That's the biggest known bribe ever given to a president or vice president in the history of the country by a multiple of I don't know how much. I mean, it's not going to be any doubt that he's going to turn out in history to be the biggest crook that inhabited the White House, and the people who voted for him are going to turn out to look like the biggest suckers that ever lived. But it's not their fault. It's the fault of the Democrat Party of the modern era because they covered it up. They know he's a crook. Everything I'm telling you is no big surprise to them. They know he was taking cheap little amounts when he was back in Delaware with his brothers and shaking people down for his son, getting him in the military when he was a degenerate drug addict, fails out of the military in a month and nobody says anything about it, then gets a multi-million-dollar job with the most crooked guy in Ukraine. Now, at that point, if Obama doesn't call him in and say, Joe, what the hell are you doing with your son who's a drug addict going to work for one of the biggest killers in the Ukraine? Are you out of your mind? You want to bury us? No, because Obama knew nothing was going to bury him. Obama knew corruption wasn't going to count in his administration. He knew he had it wired with the press. Come on. Wouldn't have done it if he didn't. Imagine all the things he did. We don't have the time to get to all that, but it will turn out, just on Biden alone, to be the most corrupt administration in history. I am pretty certain it's going to go way beyond Biden. I'm not going to tell you where. I don't know completely. I don't know what the way I knew Biden and I turned out to be right about everything. I don't want to turn out to be wrong about anything. Every single thing. Last time I saw President Trump, he turned around to the people and he said, Rudy was right. Rudy was right. Rudy was right. He didn't mean right wing. He meant right. Russian collusion. Oh, 6 years they said it happened. They invested millions in that, trying to phony it up. Turned out they knew it was false within 7 months and did it anyway. To see if they can get him impeached on false charges. Jesus, to me, that's like treason, huh? I don't know about you. There was never any Russian collusion. It was Ukrainian collusion with Hillary and Biden. Then there was the quid pro quo conversation with the president of Ukraine. The president never put pressure on him. The president just asked him to look at a crime, which, by the way, would have been dropped immediately if the FBI, Gray, and Barr, and all those criminals didn't hide it. What are they doing hiding the hard drive? The hard drive produced solid evidence that Trump was totally justified in what he did with the president of Ukraine. And it turned up solid evidence that Biden bribed him. Solid evidence. We had a guy run for president who had conducted bribery in the millions of dollars at the highest levels of government. And by the time you were finished with only a week of looking at it, he had $31 million coming into him from China. And Bart, I think you need to know that. It wasn't speculative. It's right there. You got the note thanking him for the $5 million. You want to know how much Joe got? Go look at Hunter. Don't ask Barr. Go look at Hunter. Hunter. Joe says for 30 years, Joe got 50%. That's what Hunter says in writing, in a text. But you should know that. You should know that the Sun says that. You don't think that's true? Goddamn right it's true. You think Barr didn't think it was true? Well, then he's a real fool. You consider hiding that, covering up material evidence of a possible extraordinarily serious crime by a future president? You think the American people have a right to know that before they elect a commander-in-chief? Think they have a right to know that he got $3.5 million from Katerina Buterin? Yeah, let's have that clip. We do, yeah. I mean, this is. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in a moment. But, I mean, man, around you are destroying this country. Just the mere fact that they all know that they don't have the guts to come forward says they're traitors. His wife's a traitor. She doesn't see that he doesn't even know who she is. What do you think happens in private? You don't think that same kind of crap happens in private that happens in public? Hey. You got the wife covering up his dementia. She probably likes the money coming in. You've got James, who's right on the list. You got James' wife right on the list. You've got Hunter and who knows how many women. Oh my goodness! I mean, we know we had one Russian spy, one Chinese spy. That's got to be the bare minimum. You know, he had access now to secret documents for years. Trump's whole situation existed for about 12, 18 months. It was all in one place. It was all locked up. Nobody had access to it. It's in a place that's as secure as the White House, and nobody's looked at it. Meanwhile, this guy's had it for anywhere from 7 to 15 years, and he's got one of the biggest, most notorious spy manipulated persons in the United States living with him. Probably nobody manipulated more by the Chinese than Hunter. Look, well, could they have done any better? They end up with the son of a moron, right? Who's been a drug addict forever, whose father doesn't give a damn for him because he wouldn't have had him in this business if he gave a damn for him. I'm telling you, I told you this many times, and I'll take out the proof when needed. There are mafia guys who wouldn't do this to their kid. This is an evil son of a bitch. Biden. There's something really evil about him. When you do this to your kid, now it gets rejuvenated in his refusing to acknowledge his granddaughter. Who does that? Who does that? Why is this? He's a nice guy. Nice guys don't refuse to acknowledge their grandeur. Nice guys don't take their addiction-prone children and make them bagmen in a massive RICO conspiracy. I mean, you don't want to buy the RICO conspiracy. They don't have him work for Mykola Zlochevsky, right? Who's Mykola Zlochevsky? He's the guy who hired him right after he got thrown out of the military. He doesn't go work for some nice banker, some nice person, somebody that would be, stabilizing. He goes to work for a guy who's been exiled from Ukraine, is alleged to have stolen $8 billion for himself and $40 billion for his company. He's under investigation by the Ukrainians, the United Kingdom, was under investigation by the U.S. They got that one fixed right away. And he was looking for a fixer. You can't figure this out. They must really think we're stupid. They hire the completely incompetent, drug-addicted son of the vice president. They hire Devin Archer, his partner, who was extraordinarily close to the Secretary of State, Kerry, and they hire the company that Kerry's son gets a piece of. So now they got the Secretary of State and the Vice President on the hook just at the time that Obama names him the point man for Ukraine. Tell me what it takes to figure that out. Half a brain and a conscience. But they didn't. And then they went right through, and we're going to follow it through. We have at different times, but right now, I think I'm going to focus for a moment on what's going on another network and by a really brave man. First of all, many people have criticized McCarthy for giving it only to Tucker Carlson. I understand I understand probably better than most the complexity of McCarthy's decision. If you give it to everyone, given the fact that we're outnumbered about 90 to 10, they'll all go with whatever they find on there that's exculpatory. And they'll be exculpatory. They don't commit crimes every day. They'll show some cop that gets hit, somebody that this, that. That's the stuff we've already seen. They'll just show that and exclude the rest. Then our little networks, maybe Fox, if they're in a good mood, and then a couple of others like Newsmax and OAN, and then a couple of the small Blaze and some of the others, they'll show it, but we'll get to see it. Nobody believes us. It'd be like what they did with 2,000 mules. Yeah, 10 million people saw it, but they buried it for most people don't even know what it is. It proves the stolen election. Sorry, it proves the stolen election. Stick it up your. Watch it, then tell me it doesn't. Okay? Watch 2,000 mules, then get back to me and tell me it doesn't prove that the election was stolen in 4 or 5 states, and tell me what's wrong with its methodology. And show me anybody who's contradicted it specifically. They contradict it generally. Oh, it's been debunked. It's the same garbage they gave me about Biden at the very beginning. The investigation has been debunked. I asked them to see the debunking memo. And they went, press. The press does everything we want. We don't have to give you the debunk. What's debunking anyway? They just told me to say it. I don't really even know what it means. Yeah. So they count on the same thing now. So McCarthy was very smart to give it to one guy at the beginning and let him put it out the way for 3 years. They've been putting it out for 7 years. But they got a Holly producer for January 6th. What? We're gonna deal with that by press 80% for having brains, huh? Now, could you have given it to all the conservatives? I don't see the point in that. I mean, the point in that would be they'd all be going in different directions, right? Probably good ones. But I found that I probably am by far the expert on this. One of the problems here is there's too much. And you got to do it. Frankly, I even think even slower than Tucker's doing it, which is why I'm slowing it down. I think you got to spend the night just concentrating on one thing. And that alone would have put most presidents and vice presidents and their aides in jail for a long time. I mean, gosh almighty, Agnew, I don't know how much Agnew's bribe was. It's in the thousands, probably. And we got one here right at the very beginning of 800 grand. I mean, eventually, the family became multimillionaires, or selling his office, or a few. And he sold out to some of our biggest enemies, right?
You get anything, Tim? Ted, do we have anything?
Pardon me?
Oh yeah, what clip would you like to play first, Mayor?
Well, first I'd like
You
to
want
make.
the one with Kareem, Jean-Pierre? Oh, it's right up on the screen.
I have it
All
on the screen.
Well, let's go with that one. Liar in chief, or number 2 liar in chief, or is she too dumb to be a liar?
Really trying to tell me.
So we're gonna play it right here, so people can hear it and they can.
Share the reason why President Biden hasn't sanctioned the Russian billionaires Vladimir Yevtushenkov and Yelena Baturina. How is he handling the conflict of interest there, given his son was a business associate of these two people? And can you confirm that as sitting vice president, he dined with Baturina in Georgetown?
I'm just not speaking to anything that's related to his son from here. If you want to ask a question about Hunter Biden specifically, I would refer you to his family. And as it relates to any sanctions, I'm not speaking to individual persons from Russia.
So, Mayor, a reporter had asked if Kareem Jean-Pierre could share the reason why President Biden hasn't sanctioned the Russian billionaires Vladimir Yevtushenkov and Yelena Baturina. His son was a business associate of these two people. And Kareem Jean-Pierre responds with, "I'm just not speaking to anything that's related to his son."
Oh, no transparency.
Somehow, Corinne Jean-Pierre must only have hearing in one ear. He asked about the president also. He didn't just ask about the son. He asked about the president's contacts with those two people. What we do know is there is a picture of him having dinner with Baturina, who's one of the most crooked, if not the most crooked woman in Russia, at San Marino, along with another crooked Ukrainian oligarch. And remember, Joe and his son were working for the Russian-oriented Ukrainians, the ones they're at war with now. One of the reasons why Zlochevsky was in so much trouble was he was very close to Putin. Oh, of course, he also took $8 billion for himself and $40 billion for his company. And shortly thereafter, he was only entitled to about half of that. He became entitled to all of it when his partner of many years disappeared by running into a tree after getting drunk with a group of his friends and him. The third, fourth night, they'd sent him off drunk to go home. FBI turned down interviewing his wife about that. Why would the FBI turn down viewing his wife about that? Because they don't want to make a case. Because the upper echelon of the FBI, please understand this is said very, very seriously and with tremendous concern for my country. For me too. The upper echelon of the FBI is thoroughly crooked. I can't find even a single thing they've done that's at all reasonably fair with regard to Trump. I mean, they offered $1 million for the guy to straighten out the steal affidavit. $1 million they're going to pay, so they can be a bigger part of the fraud. They're sitting there with a computer that I've had for half the time they have. And it's hard to get through all of the crimes. I'm not sure we still have a combination of me, Miranda Devine, the Daily Mirror, and now others. I think we're pretty close, but every once in a while I find a little nuance or something there. But to get the main ones takes about a week. It takes about a day, actually. Just listen, just please. Just go to the very end, put on the two texts from Joe. He explains it to you. He gives you a nice sum up. Want a nice sum up? I've been doing this for 30 years. I've got to give 50% to Pop, my income to Pop, and pay all the expenses of the family. Want a nice summary? Hey, FBI, what about that? Since when you consider he was in public life for most of that time, he just told you he committed bribes. The son doesn't get to give half his salary to the father, who's a United States senator. You want to take a look at what that was for? Maybe a little interest in that head, if you weren't fixed. That isn't a bribe. He writes to his daughter, text to his daughter. For the last 30 years, I've paid all the expenses of his family, and I still have had to give half of my income to my father. Almost everything he did involved influence the United States government. His father at the time was a senator and vice president. I don't know, you think you can have a hard time proving those are bribes? How about you don't even investigate? How about you don't even subpoena? How about you send Nazi stormtroopers into other people's houses, but not his? You don't even want to look at who owns the houses. I tell you.
All green.
What the FBI has done and what Gray has done to the FBI is a travesty. And what Barr has allowed is just as bad. Remember, Barr did some good things at the beginning, but all during that period of time, he had and was hiding the hard drive. We'll never in a million years forgive him for that. Never. You let a president go through an impeachment that didn't have to happen if we had the hard drive. He withheld evidence that the American people needed to determine if Biden should be the president, like having gotten 3.5 million from Russia, having gotten 31 million from China. He held that information back. And now he's the biggest advocate for why the election was so pure and terrific. And somehow the Democrats, who were willing to frame the president and spend over $1 million making a phony story up about Russian collusion, corrupt the FBI, corrupt the Ukrainian government. They were able to, when the hard drive happened, they were able to get the FBI and the Justice Department to hide it, even though it contained material evidence of 100 crimes. They were able to get 51 phonies to write a letter basically saying that these are Russian disinformation and accusing me and Senator Johnson and Senator Grassley and many others of being Russian operatives. Damn them. They're the Russian operatives. I know who they are. Bunch of slime balls. They're the slime balls that have led our country into wars we never should have been in, into wars they didn't want us to win. Why the hell do you think our country is in such bad shape? I never realized how crooked they are. They signed that damn thing without ever looking at it, at a piece of paper. Yeah, say it's Russian disinformation. It has the earmark. I'm sorry. They didn't say Russian disinformation. It has the earmarks of Russian disinformation. Show me an earmark, guys. Huh? Same thing with the debunking memo. Hey, assholes, give me the earmark. Come on, an earmark. One earmark. That's Russian. Came from a very, very loyal American in Delaware. Every single earmark of it is American. She's mad. It's got pictures of Biden all over the place. Over 1,000. With the most private parts of his body shown. And done very often in a house in which there were minor children. There are complaints about his abusing minor children, and you don't give a damn. don't you just turn yourself in, you shits? Well, so now we get to January 6th.
The truth's coming out.
Now we get to January 6th. I found out the evening of January 6th what a damn phony it was. Because I was the first one to get the Johnson tape.
Nope, John Sullivan.
John Sullivan tape, sorry. The John Sullivan tape.
Very smart.
And I went through it 3 times. I went through it 3 times.
Go to your podcast.
And then I put it on my podcast within 2 days. And I got some detectives to go over the Ashley Babbitt murder. They said, if that isn't a murder one investigation, I'll eat my hat. They didn't know everything that we know now. Here's what they knew. They knew that there was no evidence that she got in illegally. She could have broken in the door, or she could have been invited in. Many were. Now Sullivan came in illegally. He broke a window and came in. Sullivan had been on tape the day before talking about burning down the Capitol and getting the president like a threat on the president's life and wasn't arrested. Got to make you start thinking, what the hell's going on when people are 4 blocks from the White House talking about taking the president out? A guy who had texted it 2 days earlier never gets picked up by the FBI or the Secret Service. Yells it in Washington, doesn't get arrested by the FBI or the Secret Service. Because it's okay if you kill Trump. I arrested people for that when I was U.S. attorney, for threatening to kill the president. We got to take him out now. We got to take him out now. That's arrest time, baby. If you have an honest FBI, an honest Secret Service. No, they let him, and then they let him talk about burning down the Capitol. And then he shows up there, and they let him in with his camera. Paid for by Pelosi's daughter, CNN. Who the hell knows what bums are paying for it? You got paid for this. Now, please let me remind you, this guy was under indictment in Utah for participating in a riot that led to the death of someone. This isn't some angel. He's let in. He takes this perfect Hollywood shot of the killing of Babbitt. Babbitt is 5'2". She's unarmed. No even evidence she was in there illegally. We don't hear any threats, yells from her of any kind. We see her either standing up or elevated. A lot of other people could have been shot. They picked the harmless woman, and the guy shot and killed her. And then when you go through the grand jury testimony, which I got, he never even had an explanation for how he was in fear for his life. Now you remember from all of the shoot killings, the police killings, that the theory is you have to be in fear for your life. What was he in fear of? He had about 10 cops on his side, 8 cops on the other side. Any one of them could have stopped her any time. You could have had handcuffs on her in 2 seconds. She'd have to jump over and fall down. She'd have the 8 cops right on top of her. Instead, he puts a bullet in her head and kills her. That's not investigated openly. We can't get the transcript. Those people are never identified who were around her. Some people say those people around her were Antifa. Some say they were Black Lives Matter. I don't know. Never investigated. They won't give you the face imaging. They won't give Tucker that. Of course, they won't give you Tucker's. They won't give Tucker the face. You find out how many Antifa people were there and how many FBI people there. And sure, some of these right-wing kooky dookies were involved in it. But the real violence here got pushed by the guys running the riot. This is an entrapment case, textbook A1. This is exactly the opposite purpose for which they postulated all this, which is what the Democrats have been doing for 5 or 6 years. It's called projection. And they're doing it now. They did it with the election, and they're doing it with the January 6th thing, but they overdid it. So yesterday, Tucker did a very good job of following the, what's he called, the QAnon Charmin. Now, first time I saw this, I said, you got to be kidding me. We're going to, the cops gave him an escorted tour of Congress. Now they're saying, the cops are saying, if they arrested him,
There
it would
he
have
is,
caused
right
too
there.
much of a riot.
There he is being escorted by the cops.
Most of the time, nobody was around.
We have sound.
What kind of liars are these cops? What kind of liars are they? They couldn't have arrested him without causing a riot. Half the time I see them, they're all alone with him. Make him disappear.
We're gonna see it right now. Where's the sound?
I know policing is well or better than they do. This is complete garbage what you're watching here. Garbage. Watch this.
Do we have to do it from the beginning?
This guy thinks he's committing a crime. He's got cops on both sides. He just opened the door. They go in with him. Well, I mean, I just broke in and the cops opened the door for me.
And he's praying.
Now he's saying a prayer.
For letting him in.
Yeah, he's.
He looks scary as hell, too. Look at him. He looks like a buffoon.
Do we have any audio?
Yeah, it is. Here are these clowns. One clown after another. Oh, yeah, he caused a lot of damage. And look at him walking out. Nobody even arrests him. What violent insurrection? They didn't do anything violent.
Punishment. To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got
Look at
inside.
that.
Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to
Look at
slow
that.
him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate.
Look at that.
Watch.
He's holding the door for him.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Shoot him. Like,
Shoot him?
You burst into the United States.
Shoot him,
If he
Fatso.
was dressed like Bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him! Shoot him! It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley. And the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Oh, Lindsay,
Chansley
come
is
on.
in a jail
You,
cell.
Hannity,
He's
all the
been
rest
there
of it.
for months. If he
Won't
was in
make
fact
this
committing
worse than
such
it
a
was.
grave crime,
But not trusting.
why didn't the officers who
What
were
you've been
standing
seeing
right
for
next to him
years.
place him under arrest?
Panicked.
Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Well, I mean, a lot of this were the texts and the stupid things that that not only Lindsay but Hannity and Ingram, and they're all texting him like this wild, crazy thing is going on. Except they're buying the communist spin. Like they bought the fact that Sitnik was killed by the mob. They bought that, so they're reacting to that. They don't want to listen to people that had inside information on this, like me, that this is about 90% exaggerated. First of all, the Trump people didn't kill anybody. It's the police that killed people. Police working for Pelosi.
Go to your podcast.
Go to my podcast right at the time. Not now, not with the benefit of hindsight. Now, then. I laid it all out. Laid it all out. And they castigated me, didn't believe me. They want Trump to apologize. Apologize for what? He told them to go peacefully.
And they had a permit.
patriotically, and they had a permit. He said, go peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol. That couldn't be you couldn't have a guy give better evidence that they wanted to charge him with inciting a riot than saying go peacefully and patriotically. To get to a riot charge, you virtually have to have the person leading people into the riot, the way Sullivan did and didn't get charged. The way that other guy did, that other bum. Pulling for people to go in there, not charged. Why? Because they're FBI rats. That's why. Who caused this riot? Was it really the Trump people? Or did they want this so that they could stop the effort to take a look at the phony election, because it was starting to make progress? 4 letters from 4 different state legislatures made up of hundreds of members, raising serious concerns that must have had them sweating. But the press likes to dismiss all that. That's, phony election claims, and you can't mention that. It'll take you off Fox. American people don't have a right to hear the other side. They have a, they don't have a right to hear that there are 1,000 witnesses who are willing to come forward and testify to election fraud. None of them either have been or been paying attention to. William Ligon, the state senator from Georgia, produced a report with 100 witnesses. Was completely ignored by the crooked press, completely ignored by the crooked Republicans who side in with the Democrats, who buy the spin. Why would they start telling the truth now, Lindsay? Why would they start telling the truth now, Lindsay? What do you got? Why do you have to get flipped all the time? Is there a core? Like a core to you? Don't you realize our people don't do this? I knew immediately this was garbage. I've been to hundreds of Trump rallies. Nothing like this happened. This had to be manipulated. And I had the damn text. And you to pay any attention to them. I got a text from Sullivan's brother 2 days later saying 257 Antifa people were there. They haven't made an effort to identify a single person. Well, why was he there? Why was an Antifa person inside the Capitol? Is Sullivan telling the truth, the brother? 257? How about the people right around? Anybody identify them? I haven't heard that. You're covering up the murder of an innocent veteran? There's no reason to kill her, except to have a murder, except to have a person who's really dangerous. Make sure it's a Trump person. Suppose they had murdered one of those Antifa people. This would have been an Antifa riot. They know what they're doing. I don't know if a Hollywood guy was around already for this. If they orchestrated this whole January 6th thing with a Hollywood guy. Why is this any different than making up the Russian collusion 5 years earlier? People who have the lack of morals to do the first are certainly going to follow through with the latter. Don't sit back there and say, oh, they wouldn't do something like this. There's nothing they wouldn't do to keep power and to destroy Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is the only one that they feel confident will spend his life trying to destroy them or die. Because he wasn't brought up in politics. He was brought up in a tough world, a difficult world, but he was brought up with certain principles that he actually thought were real. Like people are treated fairly in the criminal justice system. Really? He's got to sit there saying, they had 1/10 of this on my son. The kid would be in jail already. You know that. I gotta prove that to you. I gotta prove to you that the system is so crooked that they let the president's son get away with crime after crime after crime. He buys a gun, lies and says he isn't a drug addict. They're supposed to be big on gun control. What, except for Hunter? Hunter's the drug addict who can walk around with a gun and nobody else can? You think people are going to take you credible, Joe, when you get up there and talk about gun control and they laugh and they say, well, the case you know the most about, you fixed for your son. We don't take you seriously. That's like when you changed your mind after 50 years as a Catholic on abortion. So now you're in favor of killing eight-month-olds and 9-month-olds. You used to be against even using federal money for abortion. Now you can use federal money for abortion. You can kill babies. I hope Tucker follows. I'm sure he will follows through with it, and I hope it catches on because it needs a lot. You're only going to do 2 nights, and it's good that he's doing it this way. It's good that he's keeping it focused on Ashley, which is an easy set of facts to grasp, and go back and take a look at. I mean, I've done podcasts on her throughout. Every year I review it to try. First of all, you get new evidence, and second, to try to wake them up. I mean, remember, murder has no statute of limitations. And I ran a police department that had a cold case squad that's second to none. You can imagine the satisfaction these men and women have when they solve a 25-year homicide. Or you can't imagine that satisfaction we have when we caught the 2 Nazis. You don't get away with taking human life. Ever. We'll go after you forever. Might not be able to catch you, but we'll be going after you forever. So don't think about it. That's the purpose of it. Well, there are enough people out there, not the police, not the Pelosi police. I mean, they're way out on the coast taking care of it because they don't do a very good job. Maybe I don't know what they do at night when people break into Pelosi's house, but they're out there. I never knew that. She's got her own little police force out there. I always thought she was guarded by the local San Francisco police, or like everybody. But she's got her own little police force out there. Who the hell do you think we're running these people? Her and the wife of a Chinese family who's one of the wealthiest based on Red China. Oh, you didn't know that about Stiff-Face, did you? You didn't know that the old lady, the wife, the secretary of whatever the hell she was secretary of us, was secretary of transportation. And what the heck, guess she was secretary of something else that she didn't know much about either.
Who's that?
Chow. Madam Chow.
Transportation, and was it labor?
Well, how would we remember it? I don't think she does. Yeah. But in any event, here the most important fact about her is her family is one of the wealthiest families in China. Does business with the Chinese Communist Party. But here's the unusual part about it that nobody's ever reconciled for me. They originally come from Taiwan. Now, I'm sorry, if you're Taiwanese and the Chinese government is allowing you to make, and you don't make money in China without the Chinese government allowing you to do it. Please, don't get stupid on me. There's a communist country. They approve all foreign businesses who are allowed to do business there. Can you imagine how many Taiwanese government entities, Taiwanese have become millionaires in China? China wants to kill them all. You had to do something for the red Chinese to get yourself in the favored position of being one of the wealthiest people in China. Didn't you, old man? Doesn't affect the senator. I've never heard him say anything. I've never heard him say a bad word about China. I didn't see him yell and scream about the Hunan virus. Did you? The majority leader, senator, minority leader, or whatever the heck he is. I saw how anxious he was to get Trump out. The next chapter in the book about the Bidens are him and his wife. You know that? They're the next chapter. Just got to go one way. You get Hunter and you get Joe. They're going to start taking a better look at the book. Next chapter, 2 chapters about the enormous amount of money that McConnell has made from Red China. We have a president sitting in the White House who China has pumped well over $13 million into. And we got the minority leader who's become part of a family that, I don't know, they're billionaires based on Red China. Red China. Sound like Trump? Red China.
China.
Not making any accusations. I'm just stating a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Is it a little odd that our biggest enemy is the biggest benefactor of our president and the number one Republican in the Senate? Think maybe that makes you a little nervous at night? Did you ever read any spy novels? You know why Trump is running so hard? I'm going to tell you why. I think there are others that buy what I'm saying. Any one of them mention McConnell's name yet? Do they have the guts to do it? Do they have the political guts to do it? First one that mentions McConnell's name, maybe it'd be my number 2 choice. You see, here's what this next president needs. They got a lot of good people younger than Trump. I don't know what the hell that means, by the way, younger. You got younger people that are demented, and you got older people that aren't. And, some of the smartest people I know are older people. Some of the dumbest people I know are younger people. And all of that is, here's the difference. I have complete 100% confidence that 4 years of Trump in the White House and 4 years later, China ain't going to be what it is today. We're going to take it apart, rip it apart. It's got enormous underlying problems. It's got Japan that Japan scares the living daylights out of them. It's tough. And tough as hell. And very, very upset about what China's been doing. It's got incredible financial problems that even before this, none of our genius economists figures out the fact that their GDP should be cut in half. Why is that? Because half their country is starving. We're supporting like a real country. When we do our GDP, it gets distributed. We don't have anybody in the kind of poverty that they're in China. They're in third world. Half of China, or maybe a little less now, it's a third world country. You need money to take them out of the third world. That money depresses their worth of their economy. They're already worth less than us. The only problem is they don't care about killing people and taking every penny they need and using it for the military. So now, here's what troubles me about them. They have a larger Navy. They're going to have a larger military, and they're going to have a larger Air Force. Shouldn't be.
Nope.
Shouldn't be. What we should do is screw them. We should tax them, tariff them. We should get the money we need to build up a larger Navy, a larger Army, and a larger Air Force than they have. How about more than half as big? How about that? Maybe that'd be our goal. Maybe in some cases it'd be 2 times theirs. And with the technology we have, we decided we wanted to go back into the military business again. Believe me, there'd be a lot of sales of Chinese diapers for men. Love to see a Ronald Reagan speech, from Trump. Well, there's number one thing. Yes, we have to worry about the deficit, and yes, we have to worry about the depression. But I don't know. The last time we got out of a depression, we did it by building up for war. Maybe we should do that just for the heck of it. Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna set a plan so that we have a two nation Navy. Oh, by the way, we used to have one until the communists took us over. That was the goal of even Democrat presidents, a 2-nation Navy. Then when Biden's Democrats took over, we became the second largest Navy in the world, which hardly makes us even 1-nation Navy. Then we're going to completely remodel our nuclear fleet, which was Trump had begun doing, that has been halted, so that we are not only, we don't necessarily have to have the most nuclear weapons. I don't even think we should. We should have the best. We should have the best. A better missile can shoot down another missile. You want missile defense? So we're gonna make that. We're going to increase our army by whatever is needed to stay ahead of both of you, China and Russia. I'm not sure we need to do that given the performance of the Russian army. And I don't know about the Chinese. They haven't fought a war in how long? I don't know. I'd send the Japanese to as the first round against them. See if Japan can do to them what they usually do to them, which is scare them into submission. They go like, boom, and they go into submission. I think Japan would be willing for the right price to be the first defense for Taiwan. Then we come in. I think a lot of Japan would like that. I think it'd take that. I'm telling you, you want to get into a business in China, get in the diaper business.
The diaper business?
Yeah. If Japan, if we say Japan's gonna be our first line of defense in Taiwan.
Oh, because they'll crap their pants?
Yeah, a lot of their army has never accomplished anything. Never fought a war. They're going to fight a war with people who have destroyed them for 1,000 years.
Japan.
Japan. You have no idea unless you go there and talk to them how much they hate Japan.
Any comments, Ben?
And how much they worry about Japan. And I think this whole idea of rearming Japan.
Mayor, a lot of people in our comment section happy to see you back. Happy to have you back on the air.
I got another one for Trump. It's going to be a tough one. We're going to take Bagram back. What the hell we give him Bagram for?
We should go over the Afghanistan report.
Bagram was a 400 miles from China. It's 500 miles from Russia. It is a very modern air base that we spent billions on. We left 75 billion in arms behind and gave it to the terrorists so they could kill innocent people. I mean, this is probably the worst crime committed by Biden. We're going to take it back. We should. We should go in with whatever amount of troops it takes. Tell the Afghanistan government, step aside. It's ours. We're taking it. Get the hell out. And you owe us 75 billion for the arms you took from us. That's where we start. Then we surround it with troops, and any of them that wants to interfere with it, we shoot and kill them. We've done that in other countries. We're looking for bases 1,000 miles from Japan. We got a nice one, 400 miles from China. We got one 400 miles from China.
And close to Iran, another enemy.
Dr. Maria is absolutely right. It's about 700 miles from Iran. That is very, very pleased that we don't have that. Because, their nuclear weapons, when they start, are going to be puny little weapons that, you see them on like the early film movies. To beat one of our nuclear missiles, you got to be one hell of a nuclear missile. Please don't listen to the Democrats. Joe Biden has been wrong about this with the Star Wars and all the rest of them. Even McConnell, all the Star Wars and stuff like that. Garbage. A missile can shoot down another missile. A missile can shoot down a plane, correct? Does all the time. Missiles can shoot down other missiles. Yeah, that's what the Israelis did to the Palestinians with a much lower level grade missile and with 15 minutes to decide. That's why that 400 miles is so important, General Milley, or whatever the hell your name is. Maybe if you took off a couple of those buttons you got hanging down, you could think better. You said that wasn't a strategic location for America? You come and explain that on my show, pal. You come and explain to me how a base 400 miles from the enemy isn't strategic. And what the hell are you looking for once 1,000 miles? What, you want to give away 600 miles? Just make it fair? Maybe that's equity. Yeah, we can't beat the Chinese. We got to both win. Boy, you guys are. Did you forget the country that you took the oath to? I think so. Well, how about we get that back? How hard would it be for us to get it back? What it took us a couple of months to take Afghanistan the first time. This one, we're just taking a little specific place. Not even big. I don't even think they'll, you know something? Well, if Biden does it, they'll laugh. You gotta be kidding me. He doesn't even know where Afghanistan is. I mean, he thought he was in Colombia and he was in Cambodia. He'll probably take Colombia. He'll probably attack Colombia and take a base there. We don't have to worry about him. But we put Trump in, and Trump says, look, well, I don't want to have any trouble. I never like having trouble. I like making deals. I tell you what, you got a month. Get the hell out of there. Clean it up. I don't want to see any dirt. I'm going to charge you for it. Any damage done will get added to our lawsuit. We expect a check for the amount of the arms that were left behind, left on the commander's desk. Better not bounce. And then we'll charge you the interest later. But since we want to be good guys, we're not going to tack on the interest right away. So you give it up, put the check there, tell us when to come in. We expect no shooting at all, but please expect that if there is shooting, I'm not Joe Biden, there'll be nothing left within 20 miles. I don't lose my people. There'll be nothing left. We're not talking about we're going to shoot one or two of you. I mean, we're going to wipe out the area around the base so that we can operate it freely and clearly without anybody getting within 20 miles of it. We'll just take everything 20 miles around the base. And it'll be ours. Now, try me. Want to try me? Okay, give it a shot. See what your disgusting, ridiculous little army can do against us. You know, the only reason you won that is because we didn't fight it. You know that. So we got to get some prestige back. This might be a great way to get it. We take Bagram back. Let's start thinking a little differently about America if we take Bagram back, right? I think Putin will feel a little differently about his war crimes. So I think maybe you should get ready packing up Bagram because I'm going to put it to the American people. Should we take the base back? Or should we let them continue to have a base 400 miles from China?
Mayor, we have a question about Japan and whether or not they have their own standing army to now. Obviously, we know historically there was a time when they didn't. Is that correct?
I believe they now have a small standing army, and that got approved actually during Trump with Abe. But it's rather small, and it may be a militia rather than an army. I'm not certain. But that's what they're working on now. They're working on legislation to establish an army. There seems to be tremendous support for it. The only thing that's a matter of contention there is should they be nuclear? And since they rely on us, I mean, okay, we can deal with that. This came about. People remember this when Trump was there. I think it's when he made his drop-in visit on the fat boy in North Korea, and he said to Abe, "You know, I don't get I read these treaties. He loves to do this. I read these treaties. You know what it says? It says if China attacks you, I have to nuke China. But it says if China attacks me, you don't have to do nothing. You think that's fair, Abe? You think it's fair?" Abe said, "No, I don't think it's fair." He said, "Well, come on, let's get a military started here. You got to do something to help me here."
Don't forget, we're still on Okinawa.
So let's get a president. Oh, I don't know what we got. We got a communist. We've got a nitwit. We've got a demented guy. What's he doing now? Just resting?
That's right, Mayor. And the fastest hour on the internet. Look at that. This was a fast hour. That
What are
flew
they
by.
waiting for? Like a brain transplant? Can you do that?
I
Doctor, is there any research being done by Fauci and his boys on a brain transplant?
No, Fauci is a loser. And he's
We know he's a loser, but he could make a lot by conning people into this. And then if you did it on Biden and then he didn't survive, I mean, you wouldn't tell the difference. He'd come out the next day, you wouldn't know where he was. He doesn't know where he is now.
Tease your radio show.
What?
Tease your radio show. The Rudy Giuliani show.
You want me to use the Rudy Giuliani show for that? Okay.
Tell them
So tomorrow, everyone can catch you again.
Tomorrow
Live on the air.
I will be back on the air on WABC radio.com at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time. And we will be talking about this, plus lots of other things. And
Call
be
in
able
tomorrow
to take your call-ins. And then tomorrow night, we may be able to do some call-ins here. So tune in. We'll see. We'll try a few. If anybody wants to be like a test case, all right?
Be ready to call in. We'll get a number.
We'll get a number for you. You'll call in.
See how that goes. That'll be interesting.
Okay? You can
We
ask any.
got to find a way to screen those.
Do we really? Why don't we get some nut job on? That'd be good. I hear that they draw big. I hear they draw big audiences.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We can get
Like any-
real lively with the calls.
Like any Biden supporter.
Yeah, we
nut
can
job.
get lively with it. What's your closing message, Mayor? Sign everybody off till tomorrow.
My closing message is to remember that the United States of America is the greatest country on earth.
Yeah.
You are a very fortunate person to be here, and you should get up tomorrow morning and you should thank God
Amen,
that you're
brother.
part of the United States of America, and go to RudyGiulianiCS.com and watch a couple of those older podcasts as well as the new ones to see how far ahead we were on this. Okay. God bless you. God bless America. See you tomorrow.